I took on a fight for these clowns because I didn't want them getting robbed. And they crossed me.
Snoop Dogg's rise can't be separated from the men who stood behind him, protected him, pushed him forward, and in some cases nearly lost their lives beside him. His story is inseparable from the dangerous world surrounding him, from Big C style helping shape Snoop's earliest momentum to Tupac's arrival at death row, raising the stakes and amplifying the chaos. Today, we're breaking down the fate of the most feared affiliates who defined the most violent period of Snoop's career. And it all starts with Suge Knight, the man whose influence made everything possible, and whose legacy continues to cast a long, dark shadow. Marion Hugh Suge Knight Jr., born April 19, 1965, in Compton, California, earned the childhood nickname Sugar Bear. But nothing about the empire he later built was soft. Towering at 6 feet 2 inches and weighing over 300 pounds, Knight became the fearsome mastermind behind Death Row Records, a powerhouse label that transformed Snoop Dogg from a Long Beach talent into a global superstar. Suge's path to hip-hop dominance was anything but traditional. After playing defensive end at UNLV with athletes who would go on to the NFL, he briefly landed with the Los Angeles Rams as a replacement player during the 1987 strike. When his football aspirations collapsed, Knight shifted seamlessly into the entertainment world. First, he worked security for artists like Bobby Brown, then moved into promoting concerts, quickly learning that raw intimidation could be used as business leverage. In 1991, Knight co-founded Death Row Records alongside Dr. Dre and the DOC, locking in a pivotal distribution partnership with Interscope. The label erupted into nationwide fame with Dre's groundbreaking 1992 solo album The Chronic. And then came Snoop. His 1993 debut Doggy Style entered the Billboard 200 at number 1, moving more than 800,000 copies in its first week and shattering records. But behind the success was Suge's ruthlessness. His Mob Pyro blood ties influenced every business move he made. He was accused of coercing artists into contract through violence, and his infamous 1995 Source Awards threat towards Sean Puffy Combs poured gasoline on the East Coast versus West Coast rivalry, a feud that would end in tragedy. Snoop's relationship with Suge was equal parts empowering and suffocating. Death Row launched him into superstardom, yet the chaos, violence, and internal pressure of the label became unbearable. By 1998, with Suge facing major legal issues and the company collapsing financially, Snoop jumped to Master P.S. No Limit Records. He eventually created Doggy Style Records and later went on record blaming Suge for contributing to the environment that led to Tupac's 1996 death.
I stood up for these and they didn't appreciate it. So when I got locked up, these cheered.
When you say these, who in
black motherfuckers in the industry?
Knight's fall from power was as dramatic as his rise. On January 29, 2015, he ran over Terry Carter and seriously injured Cleve Bone Sloan in a Compton parking lot, later pleading no contest to voluntary manslaughter. In 2018, he was hit with a 28-year sentence under California's 3 strikes law. As of November 2025, Knight is still serving time at R.J. Donovan Correctional Facility in San Diego, where his physical condition continues to decline. Reports mention blood clots, severe weight issues, and medical complications. Instagram rumors in October 2025 falsely claimed he'd secured early parole for good behavior, but official court documents shut that down. His earliest chance of parole is October 2034, when he'll be 69 years old. Even behind bars, Knight refuses to fade away. Through recorded phone calls and a Breakbeat Media podcast, he stays in headlines. He has commented on Diddy's legal situation, warned Combs to stand on accountability, and hinted that confidential tapes exist implicating major industry figures. For Snoop, Suge Knight was the most dangerous ally he ever had, the man who vaulted him into global superstardom while simultaneously pulling him deeper into the violent ecosystem surrounding Death Row. But Suge was only the first chapter. Because once you look beyond the CEO's shadow, you begin to see fractures inside Snoop's inner circle, and no relationship shattered harder than his bond with his own cousin, Daz Dillinger. Family doesn't guarantee loyalty. Just ask Daz Dillinger. Born Delmar Drew Arnaud on May 25, 1973, in Long Beach, California, Daz wasn't just a collaborator, he was blood. His family tree is stacked with talent. Snoop Dogg, Brandy, Ray J, even WWE superstar Mercedes Moné. At only 19, he signed to Death Row after Snoop personally vouched for him. Under Dr. Dre's mentorship, Daz learned the production techniques that would shape an entire era. His early breakthrough came with uncredited contributions to Dre's The Chronic, but his true influence exploded on Snoop's debut. Daz quietly ghost-produced much of Doggy Style, including classics like Gin and Juice and Who Am I, What's My Name, even though Dre took most of the credit publicly. Alongside Curupt, he formed THA Dog Pound, whose 1995 debut Dog Food went platinum. His production reached legendary status with Tupac's All Years on Me, contributing 5 tracks, including Ambitions as a writer and the anthem Two of America's Most Wanted. But beneath the success, resentment brewed early. By the early 2010s, Daz began publicly voicing frustrations, feeling pushed aside as Snoop's fame skyrocketed, while royalties from Doggy Style and Tupac records arrived inconsistently and unfairly.
Comes to y'all and says, we want y'all to be the first album to drop on a new Death Row. So one thing I noticed on the album, I think I got an exclusive copy, I'm not sure, but it says Death Row and Tapes.
Yeah.
Does it say Death Row
Records and Tapes, is it?
So, I mean, just bringing it back.
The breaking point came in 2022 when Snoop Dogg purchased Death Row Records for $8.8 million. Daz, who had regained ownership of several masters through copyright reversion, believed he would be part of the new era. Instead, he found himself shut out. By August 2025, frustration boiled over. Daz publicly blasted the rebooted Death Row online, posting a bullet-scarred logo and mockingly referring to Snoop as Snoop Knight. A month later, in September 2025, he announced Retaliation, Revenge, and Get Back 3, a 12-track project aimed directly at Snoop and the label. The real explosion came in November 2025. Daz revealed that Snoop had officially removed him from Death Row amid escalating publishing disputes. In a Shade 45 interview, he detailed a heated confrontation after being excluded from a gig. According to Daz, Snoop wanted him to sign over portions of his catalog in exchange for renewed support. Daz refused, saying his home, his Tupac royalties, and his Dog Pound publishing meant more than any label promised. By late 2025, Daz was thriving independently under DPG Records, having released Rotation, his 23rd solo album and 3rd project of the year. His estimated net worth sits around $400,000, built from production checks, classic royalties, and non-stop indie drops. Dazzy's deadliest reputation doesn't come from street warfare, but from relentless diss records and sonic precision. As he told Complex, "You get into it all the time, I ain't going back." But while Daz went to war over publishing and respect, another cousin fought a completely different battle, one built on rumors, conspiracies, and decades-long mystery. Lil Half Dead, some artists fade away quietly. Others become the center of murder theories. Lil Half Dead, born Donald Dwayne Smith on September 13, 1974, in Long Beach, was Snoop's cousin and an early figure in Death Row's formative years. His rap name comes from the character Half Dead in the 1979 film Penitentiary. His breakthrough arrived through Dr. Dre's The Chronic, specifically the shout-out on Lil Ghetto Boy, which landed him a spot on the 1993 Chronic tour. His debut album, The Dead Has Arisen, dropped in 1994, peaking at number 52 on Billboard's R&B hip-hop chart, praised for its polished sound. His sophomore album, Still on a Mission, arrived in May 1996 but suffered from weak promotion and a lack of major features from family members. As Death Row began to collapse, Lil Half Dead found himself musically stranded. Then came conspiracy theories to IN 2012. He released Dead Serious, featuring a notorious cover manipulated image showing a blooded Tupac and Yaki Gaddafi in a casket. The disturbing artwork fueled wild rumors linking Lil Half Dead to Tupac's murder. Some claim Tupac stole the idea for Brenda's Got a Baby from a demo Half Dead played for him. Others allege Death Row security chief Reggie Wright Jr. pegged him as a shooter in a revenge plot. None of these theories have ever been proven. They are mentioned in Greg Kading's murder rap, but dismissed by most investigators as tabloid fiction. Lil Half Dead declined to comment to Vice, but the controversy shadowed his indie comeback, now 51, his carve out a role as a respected Long Beach elder. As CEO of 1-2 Time Records, he mentors up-and-coming artists and releases grown man music like Grown Man Business 2025. His Instagram shows is still active with March 2025 studio clips, August collaborations, and an October tribute celebrating his debut album's 31st anniversary. His career mirrors many West Coast veterans. Flashes of brilliance, periods of chaos, and an enduring grind. Snoop's massive success overshadowed him, but Lil Half Dead's legacy remains rooted in Long Beach, impossible to erase, even if half dead. But to understand Snoop's deadliest era, you have to go back to the streets of Long Beach. Because long before the fame, the albums, and the death row wars, one man shaped Snoop's earliest rise more than almost anyone. Big C Style. Some legends operate behind the scenes. Big C Style is one of them. Born Christopher Bowden in Birmingham, Alabama, but raised in Long Beach, he became one of Snoop's earliest and most loyal street-level allies. His story begins with one of hip-hop's most legendary first encounters. In the late 1980s, Big C Style spotted a young Calvin Broadus hanging around his block talking to girls and approached him with a drawn gun, convinced he was a threat. Instead of violence, they talked, joked, and connected over shared neighborhood roots. That near-deadly moment became the start of a lifelong alliance. After a short jail stint, Big C Style transformed his garage into a makeshift studio, hosting Snoop, Nate Dogg, and Warren G for late-night freestyle sessions. He provided beats, muscle, transportation, and street wisdom. He even drove Snoop to Dr. Dre's Calabasas home every day during the Chronic sessions, waiting outside like a personal security guard. But the streets left their scars. Shortly after those garage sessions, Big C Style was shot in a drive-by, sidelining him for a year. When he returned, he doubled down on music. By 1993, he assembled the LBC Crew, the first group executive produced by Snoop, and signed to Doggy Style Records. Their sound helped shape Snoop's THA Dogfather era, while Big C Style's 19th Street compilations kept Long Beach talent alive. His reputation as one of Snoop's deadliest affiliates became cemented in 1997 during the Echo Sound Studio Massacre. While recording with South Central Cartel affiliates, gunmen stormed the studio. Gunfire erupted everywhere, killing rapper Lil Drawers and injuring several others. A jammed soda machine blocked the door to the room where Big C Style and Daz were hiding, saving their lives.
Snoop and Big C Style had got into a road rage incident on the freeway with what turned out to be a female cop, where they allegedly pointed a gun at.
The real tragedy, however, was business betrayal. By 1996, cracks had begun to show. Snoop Dogg's binding contract with Death Row's sideline projects from his Long Beach crew. Big C Style claimed Snoop shortchanged him, offering him an advanced net royalty deal instead of an equity stake, while collecting royalties from LBC features. Today, at over 50, Big C Style thrives independently through 19th Street Records, with recent releases like Allen, October 2025, and Ghetto Ego, November 2025. While he has reconciled somewhat with Snoop, the scars of the past remain. Big C Style's journey mirrors the harsh grind of 90s rap glory intertwined with gunfire and greed. Though he isn't a household name, in Long Beach lore, he is the unbreakable spine behind the Dogfather's throne, yet no story of Snoop's affiliates compares to the presence that transformed his life and hip-hop itself, Tupac Shakur. When Tupac joined Death Row, everything intensified: the music, the culture, and the danger. Born June 16, 1971, Tupac wasn't just a rapper. He was a poet, activist, actor, and the symbol of the turbulent 90s. His collaboration with Snoop produced some of hip-hop's most legendary moments and further fueled the deadly East-West rivalry. Their bond began when Suge Knight bailed Tupac out of Rikers Island for $1.4 million in October 1995. Snoop later claimed he encouraged Tupac to join Death Row during a prison visit. Their partnership peaked on All Eyes on Me, most notably on tracks like two of America's most wanted tensions, however, eventually arose. Outlaws member Napoleon claimed Snoop envied Tupac's work ethic and spotlight. Tupac's diss tracks, like Hit 'Em Up, escalated the coast-to-coast feud. In the weeks before his death, Tupac reportedly distanced himself from Snoop, reflecting the pressure cooker environment of the industry. On September 7, 1996, Tupac was shot in a drive-by in Las Vegas, taking 4 bullets to the chest, 1 to the arm, and 1 to the thigh before succumbing on September 13th at just 25. The case went cold for 27 years until Dwayne Keffy D. Davis was arrested in September 2023 as the alleged coordinator, with claims that Diddy had offered a $1 million